Welcome to the 10th episode of Native Strength. I'm your host, Hyapatia. This episode is about timing. Do you remember how I explained that we're on the planet of the children and we're seeded by the dreamers from Assyri-Kanwea and the ancestors from the Pleiades? There are other star people, including the jumpers, the builders, the revealers, the keepers, the mentals, the masters, the dancers, the flyers, and the seers. The dreamers from Assyri-Kanwea and the ancestors from the Pleiades, along with those of us on Earth, or Hyapatia, are considered to be the Squanesi. Now, the Squanesi built an Auk, which is a device to contain all of the knowledge of advanced life from all of the 12 planets. This knowledge is held in 8 crystal skulls and uses 8 obelisks as transmitters. The Auk is also a teleportation device. When the skulls and obelisks are placed correctly in a circle, they create a vortex. Now, these are known as the singing skulls, and they have movable and removable jaws. They're the size of an adult human, and when light and smoke are used properly, a 3-foot cone is projected out of the top of each one of these skulls in the form of a holographic image. It took 3 years of our Earth time to make all of these, or 9 months of their time. The Assyri-Kanwea Squanesi created a blue dome under the Pacific Ocean. The Squanesi from the Pleiades created a red dome under the Atlantic Ocean. Now, at this same time, other beings from a destroyed planet began to come to Hyapatia, or Earth. These were known as the lizard people. They interbred with primitive humans and were said to be cannibalistic. It was in the red dome that the giant ones from Assyri-Kanwea and the Pleiades prepared to deal with these dark energy beings. Once the giant ones were ready, they began to teach the people to protect themselves from the lizard people. Now, people were often afraid of these wise, helpful giants, so they sometimes had to shapeshift to share their knowledge. 2 of the most common forms that they took back then were whales and dolphins. It was during this time that the 4 great races were formed. Mu, the great yellow race. Lemuria, the great red or brown race. Atlantis, the great white race. And Mehuan, the great black race. These civilizations were scattered to various parts of the world. Now remember, back then, the land was much different than it is today. Eventually, the giant ones who came to awaken the planet lost their memory and began to move away from the light. They forgot the reason that they came here. They became more technological and abused their power by trying to control nature and the humans. This made them lose their alignment and harmony with our planet. They created worlds out of balance, and eventually all 4 of the original great civilizations fell. Now, this failure was necessary in order for the Métis rainbow people to evolve. The rainbow people come from the red, black, white, and yellow peoples. Originally, these 4 civilizations were separated. But as the people began to travel, they learned from one another. The ones who took to the road were called road people. They mixed their original knowledge with what they learned from other cultures. They were the first twisted hairs. They took what they learned from other cultures and wove it into their own knowledge. They braided this new wisdom into their own. Now, whenever there's been negative racial conflict in history, there's always been a positive racial exchange, even though it's not usually immediately apparent. This is how the 8 great powers are created. They will become a rainbow. There are 2 astronauts in suspended animation in Arizona, waiting for the right time to reanimate. It's said that this time is not one that they or any other star people can choose, but that this will happen only when we are ready as a species. The timing has to be right. And that brings us to the Northeast. Timing. Have you ever heard the expression, a day late and a dollar short? It sums up what often happens in life when an opportunity is passed us by, either because we weren't prepared for it or we failed to take advantage of it. Sometimes we can do all of the other steps on the wheel of life. Our perspective is broad. Our interpretation is wise. Our intuition is spot on. We've done all of our planning. We're not afraid of success, and we know our intent, but still we fail. Why? Timing. I've known many people who either jump the gun by trying things before they're really ready, or wait so long that their chance for success has passed them by. Now, some people can get discouraged by this and think that if they missed their opportunity in the past, the game is over. Our contemporary culture teaches us that time has a start and an end. In elementary school, we're introduced to a timeline, but that's not the way Native American culture sees it. Time goes in cycles. There are seasons for planting, seasons for harvesting, and so on. Your timing is similar. We go around the wheel of life many times in life. So if the timing wasn't right for you to be successful the first time, don't be discouraged and tell yourself that there will never be another chance. Think of it in terms of jumping rope. Imagine that you have two people swinging a long rope, and you're trying to jump in. You want to start jumping rope in time with their swinging. If you jump in too soon or too late, the rope will trip you. You've got to study the timing of the swinging rope before you make your move. Once you anticipate the movements of the rope, then you can plan when you will jump in. And this is what I mean when I talk about timing in the Northeast. It's in this direction that we use our focus to become free, autonomous individuals. All of our decisions have to honor this priority. The flowering tree exercise I gave you way back in the second episode to get you to know your inner personas can give you this insight. Our inner personas help us to discover what we should be focusing on at this point in time and to remember our core personality, the person we were before we were sculpted into someone our culture would accept. When we communicate with our inner personas daily, we're more aware of our surroundings and how we feel about things that are happening in our life. And this helps us to keep the energies of the Northeast positive, which in turn reduces stress and increases the likelihood of success. When the energies of the Northeast are negative, they can lead to fanaticism and even terrorism. Let's begin by looking at negative female energy in the Northeast. Natasha was a happy child. She wanted to please those she loved, and it was important to her to always do the right thing. She didn't like making mistakes, so she was very careful and deliberate. When it came time to decide on a college, she couldn't make up her mind. So her parents decided it would be best if she went to the school that they had both gone to. That was fine with her. She really wasn't sure what she wanted to study, so she thought this school was probably a good choice. It had many opportunities. She took a wide variety of classes and was happy to explore all of the options. The time for her to pick her major came way too soon. She defaulted again to her parents. Now, they felt very uncomfortable making the decision for her, but since they were paying for her education and her procrastination was costing them money, they eventually decided on education. Natasha had a boyfriend who had asked her to move in with him more than once, but she wasn't sure if it would be a good idea. She wasn't sure that she was really that serious about him, at least not yet. Eventually, he stopped calling and coming by to see her. A few weeks later, she saw him with another girl. She didn't know why he had left her and assumed that she had made the right decision not to move in with him. After she graduated from college, she began working at the same high school she had graduated from years before. It was there that she met her husband. It took 3 proposals and a lot of convincing from her parents before she finally accepted his offer. They were wed in the lovely little church she had been baptized in, not far from the school. Natasha's husband made all of the decisions for the family, and that was fine with her. She didn't want the responsibility if something went wrong. When Natasha wanted to start a family, her husband said it wasn't time because they couldn't afford it. So she went along with it. Years went by, and whenever Natasha would bring up the subject of starting a family, it was never the right time, according to her husband. Finally, she asked how much money they would need to start a family. Her husband realized how important it was to her, and so they decided to have a baby. Natasha was now 45 years old. The years had passed, and she had done as her husband had said, but now it was too late for her to conceive. After over a year of trying, her doctor explained it would take expensive fertility treatments that may not work if she was ever going to carry a child. Natasha's husband didn't think it was wise to spend the money, so they never had any children. Natasha's husband died of a heart attack a few years later. Since her husband had always paid the bills and taken care of the house, she felt overwhelmed and didn't know where to turn. Her parents had passed a few years earlier, and now she was all alone. She didn't have much life experience or knowledge about things outside of her small circle. She had mouse vision. She was afraid to make decisions, and the rest of her days were sad and lonely. This is the perfect example of what I meant in earlier episodes when I said we may spend our life pleasing others only to find in the end that we never did any of the things that we wanted to. Natasha wanted to have children, but she decided to please her husband instead. Now, of course, it was his decision too, but if it meant that much to her, she did have the option of leaving him and either finding a man who did want to have children or raising a child on her own. As it turned out, waiting until her husband was ready meant she was then too old. When her husband died, a few years later, she was left alone. Now, perhaps Natasha was successful in the West when she saw that she would be left without her husband earlier than she had anticipated. This may have contributed to her natural desire to have children, but she sacrificed her own happiness to please her husband. And in the end, she was the one who suffered for it. Now let's examine positive female energy in the Northeast. Pandora loved to crack jokes. Making her friends laugh made her feel good inside. She loved to be able to put a smile on someone's face. She was the class clown and occasionally got in trouble for it. But that didn't slow her down. When she was cast in a play in high school, she noticed the audience laughing and realized she could make a whole bunch of people laugh from stage. She loved having the ability to make others feel emotions. She continued to do plays, but it always made her nervous. One day, Pandora decided to try an improv class. She loved it, and everyone enjoyed her contributions. She went on to take a few more classes because it was so much fun. She even took a class on stand-up. There was an open mic night at a local club, and she decided to give it a shot. She failed miserably. She was nervous and forgot what she was planning to say. Her timing was all wrong, and when the red light at the back of the club finally came on, indicating that her time was up, she couldn't get off the stage fast enough. She tried an improv show with her class, but her stomach was tied in knots the whole time. And though she didn't disappoint the other cast members too badly, she disappointed herself and that was worse. She didn't feel comfortable on stage, and there was just no getting over that. Still, she loved comedy, and she was very good at it. There had to be a way that she could make a living with it. She tried writing a book. She spent the better part of a year collecting anecdotes from friends and family that she could use, and when her book came out, she celebrated completing the difficult process. It sold a few copies, but not enough to pay the bills. She decided that this wasn't going anywhere. Pandora packed up her bags and moved to New York City. She searched the want ads for jobs and got a day job to pay the bills while she continued looking for something to fulfill her sacred dream. One day, she saw an ad for a comedy writer on a cable TV show. She applied. The people were nice, but she felt like she really didn't have much experience. They would give her a shot, but she didn't think it would really work out. As time went by, she got more familiar with the way their system worked, and she was able to see many of her jokes on television. She was starting to feel successful. Pandora continued to expand her knowledge and found other ways to get experience as a writer. Little by little, her material was used more often, and after a little over a year, she was offered a full-time job. Now, Pandora didn't achieve success in the first way she thought she would, or even the second. She kept trying different approaches until she was able to make her natural talent work for her. She approached the problem from different perspectives until she found a solution. If you're trying to make your way through the forest, you might think you see a fairly clear path ahead, only to find it's blocked by thorn bushes as you get closer. Some people might try to fight their way through the thorns. Others might say it's impossible, turn around, go back, and give up. But if you're smart, you look for other ways. You might have to go to the left or to the right for quite a while before you can begin to make your way forward again. But the point is to keep looking for other paths. Now, let's examine the negative use of male energy in the Northeast. Nadir tried to fit in at school, but he never felt like he was like the rest. Although he played sports and was invited to parties, he didn't think he had many friends. His grades were poor, and he didn't understand why. All of the other kids just seemed to understand everything easier. He didn't like to study at home. He preferred to watch TV. His parents worried about his grades and tried to instill in him a good work ethic. But Nadir always wanted to find an easier way of doing things. When his father offered him a job at the family convenience store after high school, Nadir took it because he felt like he had no other choice. All of his friends were going off to college, but none of his applications had been accepted. Nadir's father managed the store, while his mother cared for his younger brothers and sisters. His father was disappointed that Nadir didn't seem to have any ambition. He didn't know how to help his son. He decided that perhaps he should pray about it. Talking with God always made Nadir's father feel better and not so alone in the world. He thought that talking to God might bring his son some of the same comfort, and so he invited him to the mosque. Nadir thought the mosque was a pretty place, but he didn't really much care for all of the recitation and memorization that seemed to be so prevalent. It was like school, studying for a test. He put in his time to please his dad while he thought of other things. It seemed to him that no matter how hard he tried, he could not succeed. He didn't see that others had worked for their successes and that they had failures too. He only thought about his own life and how horrible his situation was compared to the people he saw on television. The singers, musicians, and movie stars had lots of money, and people loved them. They didn't have to work hard, he thought. Why couldn't it be that way for him? A few weeks later, he was having trouble sleeping at night. and he started exploring all that the internet had to offer. He stumbled across a website that talked about how all the problems he and others like him were facing were caused by an oppressive society, one that valued the wrong kinds of things, rewarded the wrong behaviors, and left guys like him in the gutter. He liked what he heard. It made him feel good about himself and explained why he had not been successful in his life. Now he understood why his life had been so hard. He was a good person after all. It was this crazy, backward society that just couldn't see that and treat him in the way that he deserved. Over the next month, he sought out more videos like the one he had seen. He gorged himself on thoughts of righteousness and indignation at the current state of affairs. Almost every waking moment was filled with his obsession over his newfound truth. The world had turned into a horrible place, and it must be turned back so others wouldn't have to suffer like he had. Many of these sites showed him how to change the world, and one day he decided to do so. Nadir's parents were shocked when they found their guns missing. They had no idea their own son had been radicalized and planned to hurt innocent people. They were embarrassed to be seen by friends and neighbors. They were afraid that these people would think that they too held radical Islamic beliefs. They were just very thankful that they had noticed the things thrown from the closet on their bedroom floor when Nadir searched for the safe containing the guns in time to stop him from hurting anyone. Now, let's take a look at the positive use of male energy in the Northeast. Pablo was fascinated by electronics. He loved to take things apart and see how they worked. While most teenagers were out having fun, he was in the garage tinkering. When computers became commonplace, he was on the cutting edge, learning all that he could. He was mostly interested in programming. When social media took the internet by storm, Pablo was working for one of the most influential companies. He had lots of money invested in the company and believed in them fully. His home life was very happy, yet he spent time keeping up to date on the daily trends as they related to his business in his spare time. One day, he read about a new trend in Europe that he thought was a very good idea, but he also knew that this new idea would make his company obsolete. He brought this to the attention of his bosses, but they thought that this was just a passing fad. He began to take his money out of the company in preparation for what he believed would be the future. Months passed, and his company's stocks climbed. Still, he withdrew his funds. He was using his money to develop a new program that would work in conjunction with the new trend he had seen in Europe. He believed it was just a matter of time before this came to America, and the program he was working on would be a great asset. He spent his evenings working on his pet project while he kept working at his day job. A few months later, his company was starting to see the effects of the new European trend. Their stock prices were dropping, and things were changing around the office. Pablo was ready to launch his new program just as things in America were picking up for the European company. The timing was perfect. No one else had any competing programs, and Pablo had a monopoly. His program took off almost overnight, bringing him enormous revenue. He was able to quit his day job just as the company was struggling to stay in business. He started a corporation of his own to develop more programs that worked in conjunction with the new European trend. Pablo paid attention to what he loved, not only on a small scale, but on a much grander one as well. He was able to see the patterns as they emerged and predict what may be needed in the future. Do you see how he used timing to his advantage to bring success into his life? Now remember those two astronauts in Arizona who are in suspended animation? They are the Eagle Commanders. The time will be right for them to wake up when a certain stone is recovered. That's when it will be time for the new world. The Hopi say we have been through 4 worlds. The first was destroyed by fire because the people forgot how to use the vibrations at their core to follow the Creator's plan. The second world was destroyed by ice. The third world was destroyed by a great flood. After the flood, the people of the Fire Clan were given a stone. Now part of this stone is broken off and missing, and the lost white brother Huna has this part of the stone. When he returns with this piece, it will be time for the new age to begin. And that's when the Eagle Commanders will be awakened to command a fleet of ships that are also buried in the Arizona desert. Now let's go back a bit. Did you catch that part about the lost white brother returning with his piece of the stone? When Christopher Columbus came to this continent, he was greeted as a brother. This is why. The people thought this was the lost white brother returning to signal the beginning of the new age. When Columbus could not produce the piece of the stone, they grew suspicious. And well, you know the rest of the story. Some say this stone is the singing stone. There's a medicine story about the search for the singing stone, a rock that would bring great powers to anyone who possesses it. Perhaps I'll share it with you another time. But for now, be aware that timing is a very important step on the wheel of life, and it can be used both positively and negatively. Procrastination and jumping the gun are just 2 examples of how we can trip ourselves up at this point in our dance around the wheel. Pay close attention to how you use timing on your path to happiness, health, harmony, humor, and hope. I'm Hyapatia Lee, and you've been watching Native Strength.